My name's Zach, and I'm an animal rights activist. This video is just a response to a video that I saw this morning by a dairy farmer from Spruce Row Farms. If you haven't seen it, this is the video that I'm talking about.
Hey guys, some of you may not know me, so allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jess Peters, and I'm a dairy farmer.
So Jess made this video to call out animal rights extremists for using what she calls cleverly edited videos to back up what she calls blatant lies.
Today I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about the animal rights extremist groups. Have you seen the ridiculous videos they put out there?
I can only assume she's talking about insider footage and vegan promotional videos.
A new Mercy for Animals undercover investigation takes you behind the closed doors of New York's largest dairy factory farm, exposing cows too sick or injured to stand, calves having their horns burned off and tails cut off without painkillers, cows suffering from untreated infections and open wounds, newborn calves being dragged away from their mothers, and cows subjected to overcrowded and filthy living conditions.
And this is where we come to what really annoyed me about this video. Jess, you call us extremists and label our content ridiculous, but you never actually say what it is that is so ridiculous about the things that animal rights activists say.
They make such outrageous claims and false accusations about animal agriculture. I felt like someone needed to speak up. Like, how can they be so successful and so wrong at the same time?
All animal rights activists ever do is share facts and show the truth. The reason we're so successful is because we're not wrong, because we have the facts and the evidence on our side. See, you pay yourselves a lot of lip service here, but you're not actually showing us anything. Like you say, it wouldn't make sense for us to be so successful if we were wrong. It wouldn't make sense that dairy sales were decreasing if the evidence was on your side. Now, Jess goes on to criticise a video that she saw of a cow licking a cat.
So a few months ago, a friend sent me a video from one of these Facebook pages of a cow licking a cat. It was a lot like this one. Until I read the caption that said something along the lines of, even though this cow has never seen love in her life, she's still able to show compassion. How do you know that cow has never been shown love?
Now, it's a logical assumption that a being that has been forcefully impregnated, had its baby taken away, and is then killed when it can no longer produce milk, won't see compassion from those that are doing this to them.
But let's look at this logically, shall we? Yeah, dairy farms make their money by selling their cow's milk. A lot of farms will feed some of the milk to their babies and then sell the rest to a processing plant that'll make things like chocolate milk or ice cream or yogurt or cheese. Guys, without milk, we wouldn't have nachos. I can't live in a world without nachos.
Why would a vegan world be a world without nachos? Okay, so Jess is a dairy farmer, so obviously she's not going to tell us this because the companies that make the vegan versions of these products are her competition. But a vegan world is not a world without nachos, or without ice cream, or without cheese, or even without milk. We have vegan versions of all those things. A vegan world is just a world of compassion, where people take responsibility for the way that they treat animals. Now Jess, this is where your hypocrisy really shines through. You tell us to think logically, then spout out all this bad logic. It's illogical to think that a vegan world would be a world without nachos, or without ice cream, or without burgers, when there's vegan versions of these things in every single supermarket out there. But let's do what you've asked us to do and think logically about the dairy industry. As Jess says, dairy farmers make their money from selling cow's milk.
And if we want to make more money, our cows need to make more milk.
But cows don't just magically produce milk. Like every other animal, like humans for example, they produce milk to feed their baby. So to start producing milk, they have to first have a baby. Now if the baby is female, great for farmer Jess, but if the baby's male, well, what then? Male calves aren't going to produce milk later on in life. And we can't have that calf drinking the mother's milk when we want to take that milk and turn it into dairy ice cream and dairy cheese and all these things. So what happens to the male calves? What happens to the remainders? The same thing that happens to a dairy cow after its milk production decreases and it's no longer of value to the dairy industry. And any parent who's tried to have a baby can tell you that it's not an exact science. It doesn't always work out the first time. You might not get pregnant no matter how hard you try. So, thinking logically, would a dairy farmer be able to wait, from a financial standpoint, for the cows to naturally reproduce? So what's the most straightforward solution?
Like other female mammals, cows only lactate, or produce milk, when they're pregnant or have a newborn to feed. So the dairy industry inseminates or impregnates cows starting at the age of around 12 months over and over and over again so they keep making milk. And it's a rather routine process. You see, first the industry jacks off a bunch of bulls, sometimes using a hand or help from an electro-ejaculator, which is basically a giant cow dildo that goes into the anus of the bull until he blows. And that semen is collected and then inserted into the vagina of a female cow with a long tube, usually while she's confined in what the industry calls a rape rack.
Let's dwell on that for just a second. Is it logical to think that an industry that has something that they called a slaughterhouse, that they use to kill the animals that are no longer of any financial benefit for them, and an industry that has a piece of equipment that they named a rape rack to use on cows, cares about cows and loves cows? Doesn't seem logical to me.
Here's the thing about these extreme groups. Their big flaw. They think we're too dumb and too lazy to see past their basic video editing and fear-mongering to get to the truth.
Now, Jess, this is again where your argument is flawed. Animal rights groups don't think anyone is stupid, and we're certainly not trying to lie to anyone. Again, let's look logically at this, like you requested we do. Who is more likely to lie? The people who make money from having you on their side, or the people who aren't making any money?
That's our job.
This isn't my job. I'm a legal assistant. I'm a part-time actor. I've got lots of hobbies, and yet I'm doing this in my free time. I'm making nothing from it. I have no motive to lie. Have a think about really who has a motive to lie here. I have one motive. Love and compassion towards animals. But you have another motive there. This is your job. You need to make money.
Flaw. They think we're too dumb and too lazy to see past their basic video editing and fear-mongering to get to the truth. The real, honest truth.
In the wild, cows live up to 20 or so years. On dairy farms, they're generally killed at around 2 years old. Is that the truth that you're talking about? And then there's this.
And here's the thing about video editing. I can do it too. I can make you feel things. Watch this. Thanks to email and texting, the art of handwriting has fallen into near extinction.
Am I right in thinking that the woman who was just saying she loves cows is now comparing them to an inanimate object?
We're not dumb either, you know. We know what the problem is. You don't know us, and we don't know you. If you did, you'd ask us, right? I mean, I wouldn't ask a pastry chef to fix my car, so why would you ask an animal rights group about how your food is raised?
See, that's the interesting thing. Animal rights activists. We are your customers, Jess. We're your former customers. Take me, for example. I used to love dairy. I used to drink a glass of milk before bed every day. I treated ice cream like it was a special treat, and I loved my 5-cheese pizza. But I didn't give all that up for no reason. I gave it up because of what I learned. We're the ones who did ask you where our food was coming from. We're the ones who were motivated by compassion for animals and wanted to learn the truth. We're the ones who looked into it. And we're the ones who didn't like what we learned. You see, going back to your analogy, no, you wouldn't ask your baker friend, your pastry chef friend, to fix your car for you. Unless his main hobby was fixing cars and he had a real passion for it. And in his spare time, he worked on cars. He learnt everything he could learn about cars. He read all the books. He did all the information. He built his own cars from scratch. He knew what he was talking about, but he wanted to keep it a hobby. You might go to him. You might go to him in the hopes that he wouldn't rip you off. He's not motivated by money. He's not making anything from it. He's doing it because he loves it. And a mechanic might come along and rip you off because they need to make as much money from you as they can. Why would you go to an animal rights activist to learn where your food has come from? Because they're passionate about it, because they've studied it, because they've taken the time to get the information, and they're doing this in their free time. These are the people that are risking their necks getting insider footage. These are the people that are constantly out there fighting and debating and doing everything they can to make things better for animals. These are the people that start the petitions to upgrade animal welfare standards. You see, both sides here have the information. But one side has a strong bias to not give it to you if it reflects negatively on them. Animal rights activists, we do research. We have compassion. We love animals. We look into what we're talking about and we share what we learn. I'm not spending my weekends out on the streets handing out leaflets for fun. I don't spend my free time reading health studies about what dairy and meat do to you. Reading reports on what animal agriculture is doing to the planet for fun. I do it because I care and because I'm motivated by knowing the truth. And the sad thing is, I do think that Jess means well here. Like she said, she's 5th generation dairy farmer. She's probably had this stuff ingrained into her from a very early age. Been told that their way is the right way. And of course dairy farmers are going to want to make themselves look good. They need to make a living. Even if you don't mean to. You have an automatic bias, Jess. But animal rights groups don't have that bias. We started off in the mid-ground. We started off as the consumers, as the customers. We're not making any money from this. We have no motivation to lie. We're just the people who found out the truth and think that everyone deserves to know it. So I want to address everyone watching this video now. If you're watching and you feel contradicted, that's fine. There's a lot of information out there on both sides, and you might not know what to believe yet, or who to believe, and that's okay. Contrary to what Jess says, I don't think you're stupid. You're capable of looking into these things yourselves. You're capable of making your own decisions. So watch the documentaries and read the scientific studies. Look at the impact of meat and dairy on human health. Look into the studies of the positive effects of the vegan diet. Look into the studies and reports on what animal agriculture is doing to the planet. Watch the raw, unedited footage that has come out from inside slaughterhouses and factory farms and decide for yourself what you think of it. Read our Animal Welfare Act. Read the legislation that exists in your country on how animal welfare is monitored. Read the legislation and the regulations on how animals are supposed to be slaughtered and decide if you would want to die that way or if you would want to put your pet down that way if your pet was sick. Decide for yourself what you think. I'll put links in the description. And thank you so much for watching. And Jess, I really hope you see this. And I hope that you respond. Because I'd love to hear your rebuttal.
It's time to learn the truth about where your food comes from and the people who produce it.
From this animal rights extremist spilling his lies out onto the internet and cleverly editing his video to make you believe his lies, because obviously you're all idiots and you'll believe anything I say if I have flashy jump cuts and clever editing. Do you really believe that? Peace out.